All right, we have two fronts to take care of: the home front and the work front, and one affects the other. This is proven by science, that one affects the other. They call it the spillover effect. When someone is stressed at work, they bring the stress home and it affects their home life, family life. I'm Parkson, a father and grandfather, a relationship coach, and author of The Modern Day Dad.
And I'm Hafiz, a father of four, a transformational coach, and a dad in progress.
We Are Dads Too is a podcast for fathers by fathers. Each week we have conversations about different aspects of fathering. We will also be talking with experts to get their opinions or have other dads to join us too.
Because we are dads too, we understand the challenges dads face. Our children grow up way too fast, so we need to take effective action that involves personal and lasting change for our children and also for ourselves. Let's go on a transformational journey together because we are dads too.
Hi Hafiz, we're back again.
Yes, Parkson, we are back again. Last week, we did discuss something which is very, very important, but we didn't finish discussing because so interesting. All right, we talk about marriage breakers. What causes marriages to break?
Yes.
And we were just talking about this before the start of the episode today. Parkson, these two next predictors of marriage breakers, they looks and sounds more serious.
Yes, they are. They are. That's right, they are. Especially the next one we're going to talk about, which is contempt. But we were talking about that although the next two are more serious in terms of the degree and how damaging it can be to marriages, but the first two are actually the starting point. So if couples can learn the skills to prevent or overcome the first two, that means, instead of criticizing, just turn it into a complaint and state your wish, and instead of defending, accept your part of responsibility, they can avoid reaching this third and fourth predictors, third and fourth of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. So that's why the first two are also very important, although the third and fourth are more serious.
So let's go into that. What are these two? And let's start with the third one, contempt.
Yes, contempt. I'm sure we have heard of this term. I mean, people who have watched TV, especially those in law and lawyers and courtrooms, they probably have heard the word contempt. Where the judge says, I charge you in contempt of the court. So contempt simply means that you show no respect. Instead, you show disrespect. You are looking at that person and you are treating that person as if the person is inferior to you. So you're the higher, more superior, upper hand, and you express it through, most of the time, sarcasm. You're being sarcastic, So for example, if a husband says to the wife, you are so slow, even a tortoise can move faster than you. Now that's an example of sarcasm. No, I never said this to my wife.
Yeah,
I know you're thinking that.
No, but a tortoise is still okay. If you say wrongly, it may even lead to other things of argument.
Yes, yes.
You slow like a sloth, you slow like an elephant. You elephant? Are you saying I'm so heavy?
Elephants can be fast, when they are on a stampede, how fast they can be. Yeah, but sloth, that's a good example. Yes, that's a good one, sloth. So that's contempt, And this one, Dr. John Gottman says, when I detect this in a couple, wow, this is the red light. I mean, this is kind of... Now, when John Gottman says, this marriage is heading towards divorce, doesn't mean it is irreparable. It can be reversed, it can be repaired. The couple just needs to learn to form new habits, new way of communicating, a new way of looking at each other. Now, this contempt does not happen overnight. It takes time, all right, for the person, one of the couples to have a negative perception of the spouse. Over time, as the one of the partners look at the other one and always focuses on the negative, which is very easy to do, You see, our brains are very unique, are very, very different, very very strange in this way. We remember negative things more easily than positive things.
Yeah, it's with our physiology actually, because when something negative happen, it really touch our emotions. And
Mm-hmm.
what happened when in emotion is felt by our body, it's like memory,
Mm.
like our brain. Our thoughts are like are printed in our memory. Emotions are imprinted in our body.
Mm.
So that's why when we feel something, it affects our physiology.
That's right.
It affects our physical. And it seems there was this research, right, which Dr. John Gottman also referred to. Um, in a relationship where contempt and criticisms that result into more distressed marriages, there seems to be larger declines, what they call in cellular immune function over time than spouses in less distressed marriages, which means you become less, your immune system become
That's right.
less stronger. I mean, it
That's right.
becomes weaker, which means you get sick more
That's right.
and
And it might even
affects your
lead
health.
to chronic illnesses and more terminal illnesses like cancer and things like that.
And this is really something that we ignore.
Mm-hmm.
We think that sometimes letting out our emotions, being contempt, being sarcastic, doesn't affect our health. But it
Mm-hmm.
seems there is a relationship.
Oh yes, oh yes. Anything negative affects us. It puts us, in a very highly stressed position, and our bodies are just not designed to take prolonged and intense stress over long periods of time. Yeah, so we need to watch it. That's why happily married couples live longer, and they have more satisfaction. They do better at work, and in all aspects of life, they just are better.
And this is something that I want to talk to bosses out there, the companies, the corporate sector out there. We need to take care of our employees, not only in terms of their work environment, in terms of what they do at work, not to go into their personal life, but be able to have some kind of work-life harmony, provide them with facilities that they can do recreation. If not, you cannot provide them the place, could provide them the time,
Mm-hmm.
all right, for them to have healthy living, to have more than just work and stressed out, burnt out, which will not do any good for
That's
the
right.
bottom line of the company. People, your
Mm.
employees will take MC and be unhealthy, and then you also have to pay for their medical bills and so on and so forth.
That's right.
Right?
Now, even beyond that, if I may add to that, you see, each of us, especially those who are married, right, we have two fronts to take care of: the home front and the work front, and one affects the other. This is proven by science, that one affects the other. They call it the spillover effect. When someone is stressed at work, they bring the stress home, and it affects their home life, family life, and that can be passed on to their spouse, and their spouse, begin to feel the stress. And in another case, when the home front is not in order, for example, the marriage is breaking down, then this worker goes to work feeling stressed, and he is distracted, he is kind of preoccupied, and he is taking MCs and off days, and very often, and he, even if he's in the office, he is there but not there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the company loses money. He becomes less productive. So for companies, if you really want a productive worker, well, take care of their two fronts, help them to take care of their home front by providing programs on family, parenting, and marriage, as well as, companies are already doing that, right? Equipping their staff with, new skills and upgrading them so that they become more productive.
Yeah. We were talking about negatives here. And apparently, Dr. John Gottman also did an experiment, actually. I read some of his videos. He did an experiment with all the data and studies. At first, he thought it is just enough for positive and negative, the ratio of what good things that you say and the negative that you say to each other is just enough to balance. But apparently, later he found out that there has to be a certain ratio in
Mm-hmm.
which they use it's 5:1, right?
That's right.
5 positive over 1 negative. That
That's
means
right.
if you are saying something negative already, let's say you say, "Hey, why are you late today? I mean, you really affected our punctuality, and the host is not happy with us, and please don't do that again." Then the next thing you must say is something positive 5 times. I mean, this is the rule of thumb, lah. All right, but it seems that this is not something that we always practice. You
Yeah.
always get carried away. From one negative, we then point out to another negative,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
as you said, the emotions, the body feel it, it becomes a memory.
That's right. That's right. What he actually means is that it takes 5 positive encounters, all right, experiences between the couple to overcome the feelings, the hurt that is caused by that one negative experience or encounter. So that's human nature again. We might say we forgive, but the hurt remains, and it takes time, and not just time, but 5 positive encounters between the couple to actually help this one to recover.
I mean, I keep my honeymoon album. All right, and I treasure it. I mean, those days we were using, the camera, film, and so on. It take a lot of effort just to keep it, but it is really one source of where we can look back on the good, happy young days. We were very slim, but more importantly, the happy times. I think we need to sometimes treat ourselves, to that moments. Try to remember those moments, those memories that are nice, good, and enjoyable. And this is one way of how we can instill that positive in our marriage.
Mm-hmm,
What do you
mm-hmm.
think, Paksan?
Well, yeah, couples like to, go on a second honeymoon and third honeymoon and all kinds of things, all right? I mean, that's important. That helps definitely to, especially you guys, don't forget your wedding anniversaries. All right, that will really hurt our wives. So remember it, with all your gadgets nowadays, smartphones, smartwatches, please put a notification there so that you're reminded the day before or even 2 days before so that you remember to buy a gift for your wife. All right. Now, we talk about contempt. Contempt, as we mentioned, it takes time to develop. It's not something overnight. All right. And it's so subtle, we don't even realize that it's happening. But if you do listen to what you say to one another, then you might be able to detect that there is some degree of contempt. Okay. Now, how do we reverse that? Well, actually, it's quite simple. And better still if you can do this from day one of your marriage. From day one after the wedding, all marriages are on a decline. Okay, all
And
marriages.
this is scientifically proven.
Yes, that's right. Okay,
Wow.
because for different factors, as I mentioned, in the last episode, during courtship, it's easy to focus on the positives, and we only spend certain number of hours each day with one another. But the moment you're married and you're living together, things change. Right now you have to face whatever annoys you, whatever rubs you the wrong way, for much longer time, and there is no way to retreat. Although some people, like women, they go back to live with their mothers for a while and things like that, and says, let's take a break. So that's why every marriage from day one begins on a very gentle downward decline. All right, because like I said, also the negative things sticks to our brains much easily, so we remember the negative things. So in order to counteract that, what couples need to do is to daily, if possible, if not then regularly, focus on the positives of one another through an exercise called affirmation. All right, and that is to affirm one another about the good things. I mean, the same thing we would do with our children. We catch them doing the right as much as we catch them doing the wrong things. So if you see your child doing something good, we call him or her to ourselves and say, hey, come, I saw what you did. That was wonderful. That was, you were very kind to that boy when you did this. So we are affirming them, and when you affirm them, you know what happens? They want to do it more. you see, because they see that, hey, daddy is happy when I do this, so it must be something good. And I like it when daddy is happy, so I want to do more and more. So, in the same way, when we affirm our spouses, and we say, uh, yesterday I noticed you did something, and that really, really, really impressed me. My heart is warm because I saw how generous you are, how gracious you are. When I do this exercise during the workshops, I conduct the 7 Principles workshop, and one of the exercises I ask couples to affirm each other. One of the effects is that many couples said, I didn't expect that my husband would notice. I didn't expect that my wife would even notice that I did that. All right. But when I'm being affirmed for those things, wow, it made me feel good. And that's exactly the kind of effect that this is meant to create.
Yeah, I have something to share. How do we do that? How do we do something good immediately? In fact, that's the technique. There's this research by Mel Robbins, and she come up with this 2 steps in 5-second rule. So what you need to do is when you think of something good that you want to do, a good habit. I mean, for me, for example, I do a morning jog and so on. You don't have to think when you're sitting down, for example, and you think about it, straight away move when you think about something good. That means you straight away do it. Don't wait for longer than 5 seconds. Otherwise, if you wait, the monkey brain, takes over the wheel, they say, and start driving you crazy. I mean, questioning, you can do it tomorrow. What if it rains? And all the procrastinating excuses come. So the technique is very simple. It's a 2-step technique. The moment you want to do something good or pleasing to your partner, count down immediately. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As you count down, within that 5 seconds, move. Get your butt up, move, because it's proven actually, once your physical self move, your brain is focused on doing things already. They are not, they no longer can procrastinate, because that is how our body works.
That's right.
Don't get the inertia coming to you, and then you start procrastinating.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the opposite of what was shared last week, the 6-second rule. The 6-second rule is where you get a trigger, right, to do something bad, to be angry, to criticize. Wait for 6 seconds. So the rule of thumb is, when you want to do something good, immediately do it. If you want to do something negative, wait for 6 seconds. And it works somehow.
Okay, all right. So 6 seconds for something bad and 5 seconds for something good. All right, that's easy to remember. Thank you for that. Okay, well, looks like we all need to wear watches. And I'm
all
not
of us
wearing...
have not only watches, we have a lot of gadgets nowadays.
Correct,
no excuse.
Correct. Okay, so that's contempt, and I hope our listeners are clear about that. If you're still not clear, well, feel free to ask questions in all our social media platforms. Let's move on to the next one, which is stonewalling. Now, actually, last week we did go into this a little, and I talked about flooding, where 2 chemicals are being released into our bloodstream, and they are adrenaline and cortisol. And this is basically, part of our evolutionary primitive part of our brain, where it prepares us to either fight or flight when we feel a certain threat. It makes us angry or make us fearful. Okay, and so even in relationships, for example, in marriage or even parent-child relationships, this happens also. When one, pushes all the right buttons, and especially teenagers will push the right buttons of the parents, and the parents will start to get angry and take things personally, and the heart rates will start to go up, and the decibels also go up. Okay, yes, during the 6 seconds, as you mentioned, the 6-second rule, well, parents can begin to breathe. Okay, now a lot of people say, take a deep breath. I say, not really, because, why you take a deep breath? For 2 reasons. One is to sigh. Don't waste time, lah. This person's always like that. And that's not the kind of reaction we want. Second reason people take a deep breath is to scream and yell and shout, right? And that's also something we don't want. So what is the right way to breathe then? And it's basically breathing the way we normally do. You know, when you're sitting down watching TV or reading a book, you don't realize you're breathing. Or at least you're not conscious of how you're breathing. But this is exactly how we're breathing. We're breathing a 3-second kind of rhythm. So breathe in over 3 seconds, hold it for 3 seconds, then breathe out over 3 seconds, hold it for 3 seconds. So it's not about how much volume you breathe in, but it's the rhythm. Now, when you breathe in and out in this rhythm, then your heart rate automatically begins to go back to normal. And normal means at rest. And that's a very effective way of calming yourself down. The scientific word is soothing yourself. You calm yourself so that your brain, especially the prefrontal cortex, doesn't get flooded, and you're still able to have a rational and calm conversation with your spouse or your child.
Yeah, this this breathing technique is something that I discovered to be life-changing. Most of us breathe wrongly, actually. There's a right way of breathing. It's called diaphragmatic breathing. And like babies, they breathe through their tummies. We breathe through our chest. What happens is when you breathe through your chest, your rib cage is being used. All right, and you need to use more energy, actually. All right, and the energy is being. Of course, then you breathe less oxygen in, because when you breathe through your diaphragm, it's your diaphragm muscles who are pushing up the lungs, and you're able to breathe deeper and more air. Secondly, most of us, when we are running, for example, jogging, right, we are doing strenuous exercise, we tend to breathe through our mouth. That is normal. When you swim also, that's normal. But when you're not doing those exercises, and this is daily, right, your other non-strenuous, non-exercise moments, we still breathe sometimes through our mouth, especially when we are in a state of, our heartbeat is very fast and we need to get more air in. So be conscious, breathe through your tummy as much as possible, breathe through your nose. Apparently, when you breathe through your nose, there's a cavity inside the nose, all right, which allows the oxygen to be converted to nitric oxide. And this nitric oxide, if you do a bit of research, it gives...
Is that laughing gas?
I'm not sure. Maybe. But what it does, it goes right into your cell. It makes your cell be energized. We have this cell, and then, you need to have the furnace in the cell, and it burns the energy. Even about sighing, it's good that you mentioned this, because when you sigh, actually, and when you face something negative, right? But when you are not facing any negative thing, what you should do, and when you sigh, what happens is that oxygen will go deep into your alveoli, which is inside your lung. All right? And that gives your capacity of your lung to have more air to go in. And apparently, I got this information all from this very amazing neuroscientist, Dr. Andrew Huberman, because he studied the brain and how the body works, the nervous system. And apparently, when you sigh, not during negative moments, right? You practice sighing, that will make you relax even more. And even the third method that I thought, is a rule of thumb, again, very simple to remember. You breathe in longer if you want to get more energy. All right. For example, you want to do exercise, you tend to breathe in longer, take a deep breath, But if you want to relax, you breathe out longer. So just now when you said three, this is good. There are many ways of a breathing technique, but the way that this particular doctor, Dr. Weiler, his name is Dr. Of course, Andrew Weil, he have this 4-5-7 breathing, in which you breathe inhale for 4 seconds, and you hold for 7 seconds, and then you exhale for 8 seconds. And apparently, if you do this, some people need to do more, 4 times at least, you feel sleepy, because your body is so relaxed, right, that you are in the state of calm. And then, of course, don't do this when you are driving. Don't do it when you are sitting down or when you want to go to sleep.
Yeah. Well, Well, yes, definitely. There are different methods of breathing, and it's for different purposes. Yeah. So the one I was mentioning about the 3 seconds thing, it's basically to calm yourself down when you feel and you sense that your heart rate is rising, and to prevent yourself from reaching that flooding state. That's how you can breathe to immediately, just about less than 30 seconds, using this breathing technique will be able to calm yourself down. And in fact, both of you can calm down to have a rational and calm conversation after that. Now, stonewalling is it's not even just flooding. A lot of times, couples use, one of them at least, will use stonewalling in order to prevent themselves from reaching the flooding state. So they feel it. They feel that they're already getting very boiled, and the anger is panting up and building up. And so they tell themselves, if I engage in this discussion or argument, and this thing goes on, I will definitely blow up.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to happen. And so what they kind of instinctively do is to shut down, to disengage. So they are there, all right? They're next to their spouse. Their spouse is probably still talking, but they have
Switch off.
disengaged. That's
Switch
right.
off.
And they will either stare into their phones, stare into the TV,
Or ignore questions.
And they are just not there anymore.
Yes.
Now, this is a coping mechanism, but is it good? Well, it's good in the sense that it prevents the flooding, and the explosion, but it's not good to the relationship if it's done consistently, because it leaves the other partner hanging, right? The other partner is trying to maybe resolve something, trying to have a discussion, but then you leave your spouse hanging, and it can be taken as an insult. All right, your spouse might feel even more offended. All right, here am I trying to make things right, and here you are, not bothering, and showing that you don't care about it. You don't care about me, how I feel. So we need to be careful about that. Okay, so once in a while, stonewalling does happen. Okay, but more importantly is learn how to carry on that conversation calmly, so that it leads to a resolution where possible.
Yeah, I can see it's not totally a negative thing.
No,
However,
it's not.
if you're not aware, and you are doing it every time, and then you do not resolve the issues at hand, it becomes, as you said, critical, and it will make matters worse. In fact, this particular stonewalling phenomenon apparently happens to men more likely than women.
Not necessarily, actually. People use the term Cold War, right? That's basically what stonewalling is. Cold War. They don't want to. This issue in the marriage has been raised again and again, and one of them or both of them says, I'm just tired of talking about this. Can we not talk about this? And so to avoid that discussion, they stonewall. They just switch off, they tune out, and they disengage emotionally. All right, and therefore this issue never gets resolved. Okay, and that's why it keeps coming back.
Yeah, I think one of the very key quality of a marriage is trust. And what happens when somebody stonewall? And for example, if the wife feels that, how come so quiet? Is he talking to other people? Is he discussing about our matters? Because it seems that he's not talking to me. He must be talking to someone. Because for women, they said, I must talk to someone, and I'd rather talk to you. But if a man thinks that I don't want to listen to all this, and it's all problems, I want to just hear solutions, right? Then you are, as you said, heading downward, not only downward on the steep slope of marriage.
On a slippery slope.
Slippery slope.
Yeah. No, that's intimacy. Communication is key to developing intimacy, and not just talking, but meaningful conversation. We'll cover this in probably another episode. But yes, this stonewalling is it's different. It's how we react to stressful situations, as well as very painful, unpleasant conversations that has, we have tried having for many many times, but we never seem to, you know, break through and have any resolution. And so it becomes very unpleasant, becomes very painful, and we just want to avoid it altogether. It's like sweeping it under the carpet. Okay, but we know that that never helps in any way. It's best to face it, but we need to first learn the skills to do it properly. Okay, so these are just 4 of the what John Gottman calls the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. If any of these behaviors, either criticism, defensiveness, contempt, or stonewalling, is happening in your marriage, then these are the predictors of divorce. But not all is lost. There is hope. And one of the ways for you to learn how to overcome this is to attend a workshop like the 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work, which is conducted at the Center for Fathering. So go to the website, which will be posted up in the comment section or the synopsis section, and then you can sign up for that workshop. All right. Yep.
Yeah, Pastor, I also believe that workshop is so important, giving us information, make us look at the whole breadth of, for example, how to maintain a stable marriage. But the other one is to talk to someone you trust and be able to be made accountable to in you wanting to make a change, a difference in your habits, your behavior. And we do have coaches out there. Myself, coach, of course, Paksan also. Or if you want to share and want to get some of what we can help in, do contact us either through our Facebook, Instagram, or even our website, all right? Or DM us so that we can understand and share with you what are the solutions that we can find together, all right? So I think that is it's been very interesting and very insightful discussion today.
I think it was a very in-depth discussion.
Yeah, and actually I wanted us to share some of our experiences, but I think we need to wait until the next session. We have a long way to go. Please keep on following us and come back, to join us in our conversation in this particular podcast. We are Dads Too. Thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for tuning to this week's conversation. We hope that this episode helped you in your transformational journey as dads. If you like this podcast, make sure you review, follow, and share it with your friends. For more episodes and resources on fathering, check us out at We Are Dads Too on Facebook and Instagram.
We would also like to hear your comments and questions, so please feel free to share them on our FB and IG pages and also our Twitter, and be connected to other dads too. Until next time, let's take the next step to be the special dad we are meant to be. Take care and stay safe.